Hello everybody, Arglethump here with Detective Dai, the Silk Rose murders. We are on the second case of the game, so let's check out the evidence. Lieutenant Moss and 3 items were collected at the crime scene. Let's have a look. Well, let's have a look. Oh, I guess I have to pick it up to have a look. Okay, so I've got the rose, found at the crime scene, the broken walking stick, which belongs to the victim's father, and a sketch of the culprit's footprint. Okay, so let's actually take a look at all these things. That is a pretty fancy footprint. Average in size for a man, but maybe a bit large for a woman. Let's look at the broken walking stick. Well, was snapped in half. Not much to say about that. And the rose? Strange. This rose should be wilting by now, yet its vibrant color and soft petals defy its age. If this didn't belong to Xu Linfei, then the killer purposely left it behind. Okay, and who is this? Just a random officer? I can look at him? He seems hard at work. I shouldn't disturb him. Okay, so these are weapons. Why do we have weapons here? I wish I could say I've mastered the martial arts, but alas, my rudimentary skills are barely serviceable. Can I take one? Not my weapon of choice. This one? Are you gonna say that about every single weapon? I guess his weapon of choice is his intellect, because he's a very, very smart person. Okay, then let's just go to the morgue. Let's check out the victim's body. Coroner Yao. He must be the coroner. From the looks of it, he has years of experience behind him. Excuse me. Blast these tiny tools, I lost count again. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. I've been trying to do an inventory of the equipment down here all morning, and I've been failing miserably at it. Why in the world do we have so many knives? You must be the coroner. I want to introduce myself. My name is Dai Renjai. Ah, new chief investigator. Just a young man, aren't you? I suppose if that idiot Liu could do the job, then they could send just about any half-wit to run this place and nobody'd notice a difference. I can see you're nobody's fool, but should you give me the opportunity, I may yet surprise you. You have a little spark in you, don't you? And you have earnest eyes, the look of a man with purpose. I suppose 30 years of staring at the dead has taught me that much. I look forward to learning from your experience. Well then, welcome to my office, Magistrate Dai. I'm Yao Qinan. The youngsters like to call me Old Yao. Stupid kids and their nicknames. I was hoping I could speak to you about the Xu Linfei case. That poor girl, she's been moved for burial, so you won't find her here. Oh, thank goodness, I did not want to examine her dead body. It was mutilated and stuff. Terrible. But in all my years doing the job, I never saw anything like it. I've been instructed to reopen the investigation. May I ask you a few questions? Well, you're the boss, aren't you? Ask away. Well, he's a nice boss. He's asking, you know, can I ask some questions? Will this be disturbing you? Rather than just saying, tell me what I want to know. So he's a good boss. That's what I like about Detective Dai. He's a good guy. And he's got a passion for justice and solving crimes. I like that too. I mean, detectives are awesome. So tell me about yourself, Mr. Yao. And this is a nice thing. He wants to learn about his employees too. I wish there was something to tell. I'm afraid my life isn't much interesting than that of the patients I examine. I suppose that's my own fault. Push away your loved ones long enough and you end up bitter and alone. Aren't my case withering away in the company of decomposing corpses. Surely a lifetime in service to Imperial Court must bring you some satisfaction. It's precisely because of my choice to put duty above family that my grown daughter now wants nothing to do with me. Yeah, well, her dad plays with dead people for a living. I can understand why she's not thrilled about that. When her mother passed away a few years ago, I buried myself in my work, thinking I could stuff my sorrows in the ground. I neglected the needs of my grieving daughter, and now, even as she makes her own path in the world, she can barely stand the sight of me. Don't make the same mistakes I did, young magistrate. Hold on to those you cherish. Let them know what they mean to you before it is too late. Wow, that is some pretty heavy life advice from this guy. It's not too late for you. Yeah, it's not too late for you to make amends. Talk to your daughter. She'll listen. Explain you made a mistake. I wish I could be so as naive to believe that, but my time's past. No matter. At least down here, perhaps I can still make a difference. So what about the victim? The victim's wounds and cause of death. The cause of death was asphyxia by strangulation. Deep ligature marks around her neck suggest the killer stood behind and slightly above her. No murder weapon was found at the scene, but if I were to venture a guess, I'd say the killer likely used a long piece of cloth to strangle her. The victim also had a large laceration on the left side of her chest. Further examination revealed her heart was surgically removed. Surgically removed? So the killer knows how to do surgical stuff. Although I wouldn't go so far as saying the killer possessed the skills of a surgeon. Okay, never mind, forget what I'm saying. I should actually read what the characters are saying rather than making my bold assumptions. I'm certain we're dealing with somebody with a cold and steady hand. Someone who knew what they were doing. Why do you think the killer took the heart? It's hard to say. Perhaps he wanted a souvenir, or maybe he thought she was heartless and didn't deserve one. Or possibly just because he's a deranged psychopath? We may never know why he did it. Well, I'm sure we'll figure out why once we catch this killer. But based on the depth of abrasions on her neck, I'd wager good money our killer is a man. Was the victim violated sexually? No, I found no evidence of sexual assault. In fact, she had no other bruises or injuries at all, which I found odd. What do you mean by that? Well, usually in cases of strangulation, we often find signs of a struggle between the victim and the assailant. Signs such as traces of skin under the fingernails, bruises caused by resistance from the victim, but from what I can tell, Xu Linfei did not fight back. Maybe she was asleep at the time? I don't know. So, from your previous comments, I take it you and Magistrate Liu did not get along? 30 years I've worked at the Justice Department. Magistrates come and go, and I've seen them all. Some were born enforcers, other born negotiators. A rare few had the gift of detection, like my character, Detective Dai. Others preferred the path of least resistance. Playing it safe, yeah, that's something that could be valued. Liu Zelen was in a category of his own, a corrupt yet inept man willing to do anything to advance his career. All of us here knew it, but none of us could prove it. What do you think he was guilty of? Abuse of power, coercion, blackmail, you name it. But someone more powerful than him finally took notice, and now he's history. We can thank the Empress for that. Well, it's good that the Empress fired him. He was incompetent. Thank you. I'll be on my way. You know where to find me. Here. Working. What sort of tools the pathologists trade? Is there anything in the background? What is this medical chisel? Some sort of medical chisel. I'd rather not guess how it's used. I'm gonna take it. I can hear you snooping around back there. This is no time to play games. You can't just pick up whatever isn't nailed to the ground. I'm still doing my inventory. Unless you have a good reason to take the chisel, leave it alone. Oh, I think we're gonna get a good reason to take that chisel. Eventually. I mean, that's what I imagine will happen. So we've got to remember we've got a chisel that we can get. It's kind of funny. He's like, you can't just take anything that's not nailed down. This is a point-and-click adventure game, sir. That is exactly what I should be able to do. Let's look at Lieutenant Ma. Maybe talk to him for a little bit. I know we talked to him for a lot. He's a good man, humble man. Oh, okay, there's nothing new to talk to him about. Thank you, Lieutenant. Thank you, Lieutenant. Thank you indeed. So let's go to lockup then. Let's meet the accused. Is this the only person in lockup? Yeah. Who goes there? Is that you, Liu? You will not break me with your threats and beatings. I will never admit to killing my own daughter. Never, you hear me? Ah, well, we found him very quickly. Oh, a torture device. I don't like that. Some believe that torture can help reveal answers, but can the so-called truth be held up to the light of day? Can I interact with it? I'd rather not. Yeah! Good for you. Okay, so this is Zhu Dan. The doubts surrounding his guilt are palpable. I must find out the truth.